they would stop bothering you. The next thing is that everybody wants to show off the next best phone, next best car, next best motorcycle. I was the same way when I was young. But trust me, whatever or whoever the audience you're trying to show off right now is not going to be there in 3, 5, 10 years time. Don't waste your time doing that. A complete waste of time. The next thing is there is no time frame to become something or somebody in life. As soon as you finish college, you got to get a job. As soon as you get a job, you got to get married. As soon as you do this, as soon as you do that, there is no time frame for anything. Everything has its own time. Every individual has its own time. Don't bother about trying to finish this in 3 years, trying to do this in 4 years, trying to do this in 5 years. You proving it to people is not going to give you any good. Try to take your own time, understand things, focus on what you're good at, and try to pursue something that you're good at. Being content is very difficult. I know that myself. Nobody wants everything. Everybody wants everything. That's something that we are all trained to do. All the movies, all the TV shows, everything tell us that we want everything. But you know what? Being content is very hard, but be grateful for what you have and make sure you're working towards what you want, but don't be greedy. It's not going to bring you any good. You're going to lose friends. You're going to lose people around you. So try to stop being greedy. And the last thing I would say is always think about ROI. Return of investment is the first thing in business. Be it sales, be it marketing, whatever we're thinking, it's return of investment. So if you buy a car today, you come out of the dealership, you're going to lose money. So is car a good investment? Probably not. If you buy a motorcycle today, you come out of the dealership, you're going to lose money. Is it a good investment? Probably not. You buy a phone, you come out of an iStore, guess what? You're losing money. Is it a good investment? It's probably not. So when you spend money on materialistic things, I would want you to ask, do I really need this? And can I live without this? And if you can think about these things and spend money on wiser investment strategies, then you would probably make a lot more money. For example, I have a friend who put $150 in Bitcoin. Now it's $40,000. He never had a phone. He never had a car. He never had anything, but he bought 20,000 Bitcoins when he was younger. Guess what? He's a rich guy now. He can buy anything he wants. So the same way, when you're spending money now, be wise. Try to learn about the markets. Just don't focus only on what you know, but try to spread your reach. Try to learn about stocks. Try to learn about where money is, which country is having money, which country doesn't have money, what's going on in the industry, what's going on in the market right now. And only then, whatever I'm going to talk next, which is how to market and sell, is going to be worthwhile for you. Any questions, guys? Okay. Let's see. Marketing. Can anyone tell me what marketing is? Anybody? Yeah. So marketing is nothing but when you have a product, or even if you don't have a product, you have an idea. Even if you don't have an idea, you have a service line. When you have a service, product, or an idea, how do you sell that? That's marketing. Okay. And why is marketing very important? Is because marketing is, I would say, the cornerstones of success in any business right now around the world. I'd like to give you a few examples. Marketing is not, I'm not talking the conventional marketing or going into an MBA and getting a marketing thing. This is purely all related to a business perspective. And I'm going to use a few examples that you guys can relate to. So why is marketing important? And I would say the importance of marketing is to leverage all modes of getting your brand out in the market. For example, it could be Instagram, it's still marketing. It could be having a poster in the wall, it's still marketing. It could be an ad in the TV, it's still marketing. It doesn't matter what means you're trying to market. Any means you're trying to market in a business perspective, try to make sure that you're getting your brand out in the world. That's it. When you actually think about marketing, what are you thinking about? I want you to focus on trying to solve a problem always, because when there is no problem, your product has no value. And to give you an example, you had taxis in the olden days where you have to walk to a taxi stand, you have to walk to an auto rickshaw stand to actually get a cab, get a taxi, get a source of transport. Let's say for bus, you have to walk to the bus stop. But the problem that the world had was that there was no service that would come to you because you have old people at home, you have kids at home, you have an emergency, you cannot walk, it's too sunny, it's probably raining. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. But guess what? The problem that they were trying to solve was, how do you get a taxi? How do you get an auto? How do you get any mode of transport come to you? And that's where Uber and Lyft came into existence. As you can tell, the problem they were trying to solve was transportation. Earlier in those days, think about how much money a lot of people in a lot of countries paid for a taxi, for a cab, for an auto, for a bus from the airport, from the railway station. Nobody had a constant rate. But when taxis and other modes of transport were taken out from the equation and someone like Uber came in for competition, guess what? A lot of these companies started streamlining their rates. So now we have healthy competition. The taxis started using Uber. So they've started registering themselves in Uber because Uber is paying and they can work from the time that they wake up till the time they go to bed. They're not under any obligation to follow any rules or regulations. They make their own time in business. And at the same time, every Friday, they get paid. So the problem that they were trying to solve was a successful problem and a necessary problem. And their solution that they had was even more successful than the problem itself. So the next point is, who is your target audience? The same example as Uber. The target audience was the people that were trying to get a taxi, the people that were not able to get out of their house, the people that actually needed to go immediately somewhere, people that want a taxi within the next 5 minutes to leave their house, the people that never had a car but wants to actually go somewhere, the people that never had a motorcycle but wants to go somewhere. So those were the target audience, which is majority of the population. And was it a good product? Yes, it is a great product right now, right? And how are you trying to market it? So when you're trying to sell any product in the market, every audience has a different way of using the product. For example, if it's an Uber or a Lyft or any taxi service, there's two modes of marketing it, right? Which is one, the audience, how they use it is they pick up the phone, they get on the phone and say, hey, I need a taxi right now. Guess what? Majority of us have smartphones right now, so they brought an app for us to call an Uber. Now that is solved. Now, do you want to call an Uber on a laptop? Sure, you can still do that. You can call an Uber on the laptop through your web application. But some countries, a lot of people don't use smartphones. Guess what? For them, you can just call any of these services on a phone call, right? So if you want taxi, or whatever that is in Coimbatore, what you do is you get on your phone, you dial a number, you say, I want a taxi here. And they've started putting credit card machines within the cars or the taxis. Guess what? Now people don't use cash, but you can use credit card. But if you use an app to actually call an Uber, you can also use an app to pay. So guess what? Companies like Google, companies like Paytm, all these companies came out and they kept an app and they're making money out of it. So guess what? Who are you trying to market to? Anyone that is using a smartphone, anyone that is getting into the digital age is what they're trying to market to. So they understood the market and they made sure the market is a successful market and they marketed to them. So the next thing that I would say, the most important thing would be, what is your value proposition? So when I say value proposition, I'd like you to look at it in a way where, let's just take a case of a medicine, right? Like, I don't know, what I know is, I don't know, a paracetamol. Okay. So when you take a paracetamol, who's your target audience? So what a great value proposition framework is as follows, right? Sorry. So when you say a tablet that is for headache, the value proposition is that, hey, I woke up with a headache, or in the middle of the day, I have a headache. You take my tablet, within 30 minutes, your head's going to stop aching and you're going to get on with your work. That's a good value proposition, right? So let's find something that is in the market right now. Let's think about soap. Let's say Lifebuoy soap. Everybody knows Lifebuoy, where we had, I think Kajol was in the commercial in Lifebuoy when I was a kid. So for the target segment, which is the kids that they were trying to target to, the product or the service's name was Lifebuoy, and the product service category, it was a soap. And what they said was, unlike any soaps in the market, Lifebuoy killed germs 30% more or 40% more. And the way the product is different from the competitors is because you didn't need to put Dettol or you didn't need to put Savlon in your water. You can just use your soap, which had Dettol or Savlon in it. So that was a great value proposition in those times, right? So everybody went and bought Lifebuoy when they were using hammams and stuff, because they thought, okay, kids would actually, be more cleaner. Another example would be Complan. It's a health drink, but they marketed it for the kids. So they say, taller, stronger, sharper. And for example, they said, this is for the kids. The product's name is Complan. It's a health drink, and unlike other competitors, it makes you twice as tall, twice as strong, twice as sharp. And that's how they marketed it. And that was a good marketing strategy, because I'm sure everybody's actually drunk Horlicks or Complan in your life. And in these instances, when you're actually marketing it, there's a few differences between cost, price, and quality. To give you an idea, when you're actually buying something, let's say you go to a hotel, you stay in a hotel. When it's a 5-star hotel, the cost of living in the hotel at the price what you're paying for, which let's say is 20,000 rupees for a room for a night, you expect to have a certain quality. That is the difference. So when your cost is low, let's say, for example, you're going to a hotel that's on a roadside, when you pay 1 rupee for an idli or a dosa, you're not going to expect quality out of it. You're going to be like, if it's tasty, I'll eat it and then walk away. But when you're actually going to a 5-star hotel and you're eating something, you're going to expect that. So when you're going to expect the quality returns. You want a clean plate, you want a towel, you want a napkin, you want a spoon and fork. Everything has to be spick and span, washed. You want a person to be delivering it to you. The chutney has to be in separate cups, the dosa has to be in a separate plate, the idli has to be in a separate plate, and then you'll pay 20,000 rupees for it and eat it. So you're expecting a certain quality, which is what the cost versus price versus quality difference is. And it's funny that when you're actually trying to market any products in the market, you're going to actually have a target audience, which we spoke about before. And the target audience is also the people that are divided by cost. So if you have a product and if you're going to target an audience that cannot afford it, and if you're going to market it to the audience, it would be a bad marketing presentation at that point of time. So make sure you're always aware of who you're marketing to and what you're marketing to. And as we spoke about how your target buys your product, there's a small anatomy of usage for the top content marketing tactics that is over here. So nowadays, when any brand comes out of the market, everybody is on Facebook. If you've noticed, everybody is on Instagram. But at the same time, different brands also need to diversify their branding and imaging tactics through all these marketing tactics that are actually presented here. When, I don't know if you know about this, in olden days, when Lysol and all these cleaning products were a thing, the marketers used to actually come in person and knock door to door to actually sell the product. They would come in, even there's a TV commercial where they would come in with a Lysol, they would put it in someone's random toilet, and then the toilet is now clean. So the same way, every marketing strategy nowadays in the market has a different section of people that are using it. And this is a survey that majority of the brands, how they're marketing. So social media is 88% of the brands now use social media. So any business you're trying to get in now, make sure social media is a big element, because half the population or even more are on the phone almost all the time. And there are target marketing strategies where you must have realized when you go and search for a country, let's say Turkey, on your phone, and you go onto your laptop to do some research, you would have an icon that comes down in the bottom and says trip advisor, fly to Turkey, 68,000 rupees. And then when you go back into your phone to your Facebook or your Instagram, you would have something that shows airline tickets, Air India, 15,000 one way. So these are all marketing strategies that these companies are trying to attract you. So social media is a very big influence, and I want everybody to get on to social media, not just for using your Facebook or Instagram, but to learn the marketing tactics. The next thing is every company in the market that comes out, especially in the pharmacy world, has a lot of articles. So publishing these articles and making sure that the industry understands that you're working in these different products, or you're working on different service lines, or you're presenting in various seminars, you're presenting papers, is very important. The next would be email marketing. Email marketing is a key tool, because even to get a gas cylinder nowadays, you need an email address. So think about in the future, what's going to happen. Everybody is going to be sending you products on email. You're going to be buying on email. You're going to be sending your return receipts on email. Any issues you have to email people. So make sure your company is heavily relying on emails. And then write a lot of blogs. It's good for personal as well as professional gain. Writing blogs is really good. Make a lot of videos, not just record videos on your phone, but try to do a lot of informational videos that your brand can get out there in the market and be on YouTube, be on Facebook, get a lot of talks, read a lot of books, and, create videos on those topics, which is really good. And one more thing, other than just marketing, but even for individuals to get into the professional world of things, in-person events are extremely good. In fact, I'm now in Las Vegas in the US, where I've come for an event called Customer Contact Week. And I'm going to be here for 4 days. And I've done 10 different events this year like this. And all I do is go meet people, talk to them, understand what the brands are looking for, what they want to do next, where their service lines are heading. Are they having any issues? Are they having any problems in the market that I can solve? And I make marketing presentations based on all those things, and I try to resolve it for them. So these are all some of the examples. And where your brand is and how you want to position your brand is something that you all need to think about. If you just want to be in Coimbatore, you need a different strategy. But if you want to get global, then you have to have a different strategy to each market. So localizing your brand is very important. And to give you an example, next thing is the target market. There is a term called racism in the US. I don't know how many people know about it. Racism, I don't know. Does anyone know what racism is? Maybe I'll get one or two answers from you guys. Anybody?
The difference that mainly shows between the color, gender, caste.
I mean, there's no caste system in the US, but okay, one more person. Come on. What's racism? So it's plainly the discrimination against a person or people in general on the basis of a particular race or ethnic group or minority. And we used to have a lot of racism in India because we used to put minorities down. And that is what happened in the US, where the white people brought slavery, had Africans and Indians and all these people as slaves over here. And things have changed now, but I would like you guys to focus and think about why it has not still changed in India. And the brightest example that I can actually offer is, I'm sure you guys know about Hindustan Unilever. So Hindustan Unilever, if I say it as a name, not many people would know it, but the company came out in 1973, and their most famous product is Fair and Lovely. So Fair and Lovely is their most famous product. And every year in India, Fair and Lovely sells for about 2,400 crores, which is about $317 million, which is really big. Not many companies even make that in the US, but in India, Fair and Lovely is sold in such a great extent. And it's super interesting to know that you guys are in the pharmacy world, so I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm trying to say. All Fair and Lovely has is that one of the scientists found out that vitamin B3 lightens skin color, and Fair and Lovely became a hit. There's no marketing, there's not vitamin B3 reduces skin color, and that's all it is. And for men, they say Fair and Handsome. It's exactly the same thing. But then the interesting thing about the slide and Fair and Lovely is that they say there's 4 P's of marketing, which is, in the 1920s or 30s when marketing books were coming out, they came out with 4 P's, but there's a major 5th P, and you can add many P's after that. The first thing is the product. So the product, I would say, is Fair and Lovely, which is vitamin B3 in a cream. And then if you sell Fair and Lovely in the US, nobody would buy it because people are white over here. So what they did was they put it in the right place, which is Africa and India, where we want to become like someone which is white, right? But the color has nothing to do with our race. Color has nothing to do with anything. We're just being racist against us. Like we are trying to put us down by thinking that being brighter is more attractive. But I understand, even on television, every actor, actress, everybody is white. So, we are trained to think that white is pretty. But in all honesty, when you leave India, you never use Pond's powder, you never use Fair and Lovely, you never use any of these products. You can ask any of your friends or relatives that are staying outside in different countries. These products don't exist. And the reason behind, we don't discriminate ourselves based on color anymore. The discrimination is within us. The people who are saying that they're being treated as a racist are the people that are trained to think that being dark is bad, or being light is superior. So the place that they introduced this was India, which is why the 2,400 crores of sales. When they came out initially, they were expensive, but now you see the right price is you can go buy a sachet of Fair and Lovely, which is this much that you can use in a train really quickly, thinking that it's going to make you white in one day. No, it's going to take years. And then you have 20 rupee tubes, you have 200 rupee tubes, but you can go to Lakme or bigger companies like that where they sell tubes for 1,000, but it's exactly the same composition that is there in those tubes, but it's how they market it. So the right price and the right promotion, which was earlier in those days, they used to have they used to have fashion, skin tone cards that they had that came with the packaging, if you know about it. So the advertisements would be, the card would be next to your skin, and your skin, of course, this card is white. I'm sorry, I'm dark. The it says, okay, if you use it for 20 days, you're going to have 2 lighter skin tones. If you use it for 3 months, you're going to have 4 lighter skin tones. And that was a big thing. And it was marketed to the right people, which is the most important thing. So that was a small example I wanted to give you, that you all should think about it. Like, if Fair and Lovely, which is a simple product, it's nothing big, can be marketed to the right person, the right place, and make so many thousands of crores, then any product that you're trying to market can be done if you follow the same secret. There's no secret sauce, but I'll give you a small formula. The formula is that make sure it's not just pictures, or it's just things that you say that are not real. The quality of the content in the carton, the product, what you say out in a marketing is really important. For who you're distributing the product is the next most important thing. And when I say who I'm distributing it, if you say Fair and Lovely for kids, then it's not a good marketing strategy. If you say Fair and Lovely for old people, it's not a good marketing strategy. Fair and Lovely is for people that are trying to date, that are trying to become fairer. They want to look more beautiful. They want to look more prettier. So that's the right distribution. And then when men were using Fair and Lovely, it was easier to say, use Fair and Handsome instead of Fair and Lovely, because it is targeted to men. The same way for soaps. It's exactly the same composition, but now you have Dove men, Pantene men, Pantene this, whatever that is. So retargeting, which is also a paid search marketing strategy where you try to target the same audience that is buying your product, which is what is going to give you better results. So this is all I have with marketing. I'd love for you guys to ask some questions. I'm getting bored talking the whole time. Any questions? The teachers and the students can ask.
There are some questions in the chat box. Can you see, Naresh?
Chat box.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's see.
Shall I read it out?
No, that's okay. I got it. Thank you so much. Sir, if we want to have a new startup in the US, how difficult is it as an Indian? Okay. Almost all the investors you have in India are people in India. Can you guys hear me better? It says the internet is a little unstable. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we are able to hear you. Continue.
Okay. So yeah, almost all the companies, almost all the investors that are investing in India into startups are all people that have traveled to the US, that have experience in the US, that understand the startup culture. And as long as you have a solid idea, as long as you have a good strategy to reach the right investor that has connections in the US, Silicon Valley, New York scene, it is extremely easy. The next is any other questions? You can type it in or you can ask. I'm not going to bite. Okay. I'm going to move to sales.
The audience can just clarify your doubts regarding business and sales. Any doubts?
That's okay.
Okay.
So sales, we're going to take a different approach towards sales right now. What is sales? I've asked this question a long time, even though I sell. There's no one strategy to sell anything. The real thing about sales is there's a lot of groundwork. It's extremely hard. Lots of sleepless nights in business, especially if you're cross-selling across different continents. You know, I work India time because I have teams in India. Does anyone have a question? Okay. So yeah, lots of sleepless nights, work across different continents. You know, I have teams in Australia, I have teams in Japan, China, India. I'm working with Barcelona, I'm working with Prague, I'm working with Poland, you know, Argentina. So across the globe, when you start working, it's hard. But then how can you make it easy is the first main point that you need to think about when you're even considering entering sales is you have to understand what you're selling, which was the marketing piece, and who you're selling to is the sales piece. So I'd like to give you an example in understanding your client, right? For example, the world population was a client for Nokia. Nokia was selling phones, and the most famous ones were the 1100s of my time, the 6600s. It was all like keypad phones. Then they came out with the E series. They came out with the best cameras out there. Then they moved to the Windows. But what they failed was when they launched these phones, they were so successful that they forgot to understand their clients' trends, but they were trying to satisfy their demand. So they were making phones, their factories were full, everything was going fine. But then the clients started moving on, iPhones became famous and they failed to make quality phones like the iPhones. So it doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how much quantity or quality you bring in. If you don't know your client, then, the problem that you're going to be having is you're going to lose your business. So understanding your client is very, very important. Let's see. Someone asked a chat. Yeah. Their medicines can't be marketed as we do for other products and such. We need to approach only doctors to prescribe our product. Is there any other means to market our pharmaceutical product? Great question. When you talk about pharmaceutical products, it is a completely different market, but there are also a lot of over-the-counter medicines that you can buy. You don't need the doctors to market your product. Amazon sells medicines on their sites now. There's a lot of private companies that sell stuff on their sites. And an interesting thing that people are doing in the US is you don't need to go to a doctor in person. There is a lot of online consultation that is going on. So you can set up your own set of doctors for online consultation and make sure that any medicine that is prescribed is being sent by you. So that is one of the strategies that a lot of my friends are using. But you're right. When it comes to complicated cases, you ultimately need the doctors because you don't want pharmaceutical products in the wrong hands. For example, there's a lot of, when I went to Africa, I saw a lot of cough syrup pandemic going on over there. So people are getting high off of drinking cough syrup. There's a lot of painkiller medication, wrongdoings in a lot of places around the world. And there's a lot of mental, like Xanax and Valium that people are taking, which is really bad as well. So you have to be careful, and which is why it is regulated. Everything in the US goes through the FDA. So you got to be careful with that stuff. So the next thing would be understanding your competition. So I would say always keep in mind that someone else is making a product that is superior to your product. That should always be in your mind. For example, I can give you an idea. Bayer Pharmaceuticals was actually making, it's an effervescent tablet. And then another smaller company, which I don't want to name, came out with another product called Efferset, which was just like Bayer Pharmaceuticals, but less in sodium and less in size. And immediately Bayer came out with a lawsuit. But then the competition, which was even though so much smaller, won the lawsuit because of the fact that they were able to come out with something smaller, something better in the market. I don't understand the composition or anything. Don't ask me that. But that's a good thing because you always have to understand your competition. And even though the market size is huge, but even though the competition is small, the competition understood what they were selling and who they were selling to and ended up capturing the market that Bayer Pharmaceuticals, who's a giant, has it. And understanding your product and service. So I would say the easiest way to understand your product and service is to put up a sheet which has your strengths and then weaknesses on one side, and then compare your strength and weaknesses towards what your competition's product is. So, any medicine could, two of the same products, let's say it's antibiotic or whatever it could be, does the same thing, but why is your product better? What would be your long-term effects? What would be your short-term effects? Is there any side effects to your product? So understanding this and then comparing it with the market and constantly making your product better would be the best way to sell any of the products that is currently in the market. And then understand your advantages. So this is actually very tricky when it comes to products in the market, because everybody has different products. Everybody has different ways of delivering the products, different ways of selling the products. But what is your advantage and how do you do it is you try to find out which client you're selling to and find out how it is advantageous to them. And then you actually put the product in the market. So, you know, if the client is a big company, then you understand, okay, they have this problem and our product can solve this problem. So you approach with a solution, not saying that I have this product. And you always tell them, hey, how are you better than what they are currently using, which is really, really important. And then the last thing would be understanding the market and sell to it. So it's all great when business is booming. It's all great when things are great, right? But if you don't understand your market at one point, you have something called the product life cycle, where a product in its inception would start to mature, then it would go into the fully matured phase, and then it would start to decline. Every product goes through this life cycle. If you understand the market and if you sell to the right market, let's say, for example, entering a new market, you enter a market in, let's just take in the case of Fair and Lovely, right? So you enter the market like UK and you say you want to sell Fair and Lovely. That's a bad marketing strategy, right? Because they have tanning salons over there that people are standing in line because they want to get darker. They don't want to be lighter. So you have to understand the market, what you're selling to and who you're selling to. And that's a really important aspect over here. Other than that, sales is an art. And when you start trying to sell, and if you don't know what you're selling or how to sell, you always partner or learn from people that have done it for years, because that's the easiest way to learn. There's no one size fits all for selling. Selling takes a very solution-based style in the pharmaceutical industry, or industries that you guys are involved in, is very solution-based. So trying to be strong in your subject matter helps with the sale a lot. And since we're talking about, talking to the doctors, talking to different pharmacists, talking to industries, talking to universities, when you guys are actually going there, and if a question is asked which you cannot actually react to well, then you immediately lost the sale. So making sure that when you go anywhere, you have done the research of your client, you understand what the client wants, you know what you're selling, you know about the product, your subject matter expertise is excellent. If you're not a subject matter expert, you have someone on call that is there or with you that can actually talk about the product, because a lot of scientists are not extroverts. But if you're going to be a salesperson, you need to be an extrovert. So understanding these things, making sure things are in favor of you when you're actually going and standing in front of your client is very important. And that is how you successfully sell. Any questions, anybody? I'd like a few more. I don't want to feel like I just spoke the whole time and nobody heard me. Is anyone there? Hello?
Good morning, sir.
Good
It was a
morning.
wonderful session. Thank you. Sir, I have a doubt that how can we sell a pharmaceutical product or a drug? How can we market a drug? Actually, a product can be easily marketed, or a product with the tactics can be marketed in the marketing field. But how
Okay.
can a drug how can it be marketed?
I mean, as an individual or as a company?
As an individual?
I mean, are you even allowed to market a drug as an individual? It doesn't matter if it's India or not.
No, sir. Different companies are making the different drugs.
Mhm.
But it can only be marketed through the doctors, right?
That's not necessarily, I mean, maybe that is the case in India. I mean, you don't have a drug that's been advertised on TV, but the whole world is changing right now. We have drugs that have been advertised in TVs. We have social media campaigns where the drug companies are advertising these drugs right now. So if there is a drug for cancer, they say, hey, this drug, you know, kills cells faster or kills the cancer cells or whatever it is faster than other drugs. You know, when you're actually going to the doctor, talk about this, ask to the doctor. So there's pharmaceutical companies are becoming more educative to the people, and they're selling on TV now. They have social media campaigns that are going out. I don't know, from mental health to sexual health. I think if you go online and you search for a drug, it's available online. It's so surprising and weird.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep. And as I said, they have TV commercials, they have conferences that are marketing these drugs. The big companies are going on big campaign marketing on social media, PPC advertisings. They're building relationships with multiple doctors. They're building relationships with hospitals. Yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff to market these drugs.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys?
Okay,
I'm gonna
well,
switch.
on
Yeah.
behalf of the continuing pharmacy education program, we thank Naresh, who has given such an elaborate presentation on business and sales. And I'm so happy that I just want to introduce that he's my son, and he's now based in San Francisco. And thank you, Naresh, for being with us so long. And almost you have cleared all the questions that have been asked in the chat box. And it was very clear, and I got many messages also. And if there are any more questions, I would like you to please send it so that I can forward it to his mail, and I'll be in touch with you in future also. Thank you, audience, and thank you, Naresh. So now it's time for going to the next session. And thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. See you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, sir.
Next, we are just going to give a small break for the next session would start, and let's all meet again. Thank you.
Hello, madam. Hello, Uma, madam.
Hello. Yeah, good morning.
Ma'am, you are ready, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, ma'am. You can just put the first page, ma'am, in your screen. First
Okay.
is introduction slide. Just that name itself can put, ma'am. Shall we start, ma'am?
Yes, yes, you can start.
Ma'am,
Yes.
share your screen, ma'am.
Yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible. Ma'am, slideshow, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible, ma'am. Okay. Good morning once again. We will continue with the second session, which will be presented by Dr. K. Uma Devi. I have immense pleasure in introducing Dr. V. Uma Devi to the audience. Madam has completed her PhD in English in 2008 at Bardhiya University. Initially, she was the head languages at Dr. GRD College of Arts and Science till 2009. She has guided about 8 PhD students and 8 MPhil students and has about 25 publications in national and international journals to her credit. She is a research supervisor for student-funded project by Tamil Nadu State Council for Higher Education in 2019. She is a nodal officer and coordinator for employable skills by Tamil Nadu Skill Development Corporation till date. She is an eminent soft skill trainer in Government Arts College. At present, Madam is working as Associate Professor in the Department of English, Government Arts College, Coimbatore. We are happy that Madam has accepted to share her views on the necessity of soft skills for healthcare professionals. We are handing over the session to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, all. I would like to register my sincere thanks to the management, principal, head, Department of Pharmacy, and my cousin for providing me this opportunity to be a part in continuing pharmacy education program. So my topic today is soft skills for healthcare professionals. Soft skills are the combination of people skills, social skills, communication skills, emotional intelligence, and personality traits that make it easy to get along and work harmoniously with other people. As a student, we all have hard skill. So hard skill is the subject what you learn, all kind of a technical knowledge, everything what you get. But this soft skill, it is a complement for the hard skills what you have got. There are n number of soft skills, but I've concentrated on pharmacist soft skills. So for a pharmacist, the accuracy, communication skills, interpersonal skills, patient counseling, professional ethics, computer skills, diplomacy, and active listening. So these are the very few pharmacist soft skills. As I told you, there are n number of skills, and most of the resource persons are going to enlighten you with all kind of communication skills, interpersonal, intrapersonal, presentation skills, etc. So I've just added upon a few apart from that. And first thing is the accuracy. So this is a matter of life and death of a patient. So the pharmacists are dealing with medicines in every aspect from production to marketing and involved in dispensing of medicines. As a pharmacist, you must be aware that medicines could be dangerous if wrongly dispatched or mishandled. Pharmacists are expected to dispense medicines in error-free manner and that quick way. They have to understand the handwriting of doctors and also required to fill prescriptions. So we all know that how the doctors write the prescriptions. So actually, according to the rule, all the prescription it should be written in bold letters. But we don't see any doctor writing the prescription in the bold letters because it should give you the clarity. So then only the pharmacist can give the proper medicine, the accurate or the proper medicine. And they have to understand the handwriting. So that is the reason. And humans are naturally known to make mistakes, but pharmacist should be accurate in his work, and because it is a matter of life and death. For example, I've given as insulin. Right, so insulin, it has to be taken in at the specific dose. Here again, I've given the difference between the dose and the dosage. Right, dose is the specific medicine given at the specific time, and dosage, it is the administration of the frequency, because we know that according to the healthcare now most of the persons are diabetic patients and they go for the insulin, and some they take in the morning or some in the evening, and some patients they have it for 3 times, so that has to be administered properly. So the healthcare professionals must dispense drugs in the accurate concentrations and also with the correct doses. So that is here what I mean as accuracy. In patient counseling, right? This is also an important soft skill what a pharmacist should equip with him. That is to explain a patient's medication. So it's the most important among all the skills. Patient counseling refers to the process of providing vital information, advice, and assistance to help patients with their medications and to ensure patients to take medicines properly. Because prescribing medicine is a duty of a doctor, but carrying that prescription and coming to you getting the medicine, so here your role becomes very crucial. So you have to explain at what type frequency the medicine has to be taken. So for that, you have to give a good counseling to the patients, and you have to provide vital information for what this medicine has been they are going to take, and what are the effects is going to give, and if it is wrongly taken, what are the side effects. So everything it is up to you to give a good counseling to the patients. So the pharmacists require deep knowledge about medicines. So it also requires a good communication skill for saying, but along with that, pharmacists requires deep knowledge and medicine, which they require during their education. Right after completing your degree or diploma or whatever it is, when you go for the workplace, you become a full-time pharmacist, right? So you should have a very good knowledge, deep knowledge about medicine, so that you can counsel the patients in a good manner. Professionalism, right? This it is in the present scenario. The word professionalism is one of the most misunderstood word after spiritualism. In India, for example, the professionalism is understood as being emotionless and concern-free of others' agony instead of taking it as being. So normally we say that I'm I am very professional in my duty, so I don't go beyond after that. So it is not the meaning, it is not the right meaning here. So you should have some kind of emotions because you're dealing with a patient, so you can't be emotionless. So there is an intense competition for healthcare positions at the executive level. So at that case, they will consider, apart from your hard skills, they will consider only the soft skills what you possess. And it is your emotions, overpower your sense of duty and showing a concern to the patients. And also it is important to act as a professional manner at all times, but it's especially important where there is an intense competition for healthcare positions at the executive level. And this present recruiters, they like outgoing, friendly, well adjusted pharmacy professionals more than those with great qualifications but less acceptable soft skills. So here this soft skill plays a very vital role in the apart from your qualification, your hard skill or degree, whatever we mean it. So that is the reason why you have to be very attached to the patients. You should understand the emotions of the patients because apart from the doctor, the patients trust you very much. So you should be more ethical and professional in your duty. Next is the professional code of ethics. Right. So here, apart from the sympathy, empathy is also very important. The sympathy and empathy are the two ingredients for the healthcare relationship. And this code of ethics for the pharmacists mean here it is a pharmacist respects the conventional relationship between the patient and pharmacist. So this conventional relationship refers to a relationship of a mutual commitment by individuals characterized by shared values, open-minded commitment, mutual trust, and concern for the welfare of the people. Right, so that is what we mean it as conventional relationship, because you are trustworthy and you have a open-minded commitment because you're dealing with the patients directly, and they spend more time getting information regarding their medication. And pharmacists provide prescriptions to patients living with different medical conditions, right? And pharmacist promotes the good of every patient in a caring, compassionate, and confidential manner. So this confidentiality is the great quality for a pharmacist. For example, there are n number of diabetic patients, and they don't want to disclose to anyone that they are diabetic, but others, it's a human tendency that others will be curious to know whether that person has any kind of an illness. So even though you're very close and friendly with anyone, you must maintain this confidentiality, because apart from a doctor, the patients also have belief in you. They trust you. So you should be more caring, compassionate, and you have to maintain that confidential. So it is crucial then they act ethically and discreetly by respecting private patient information. This is especially important if you live in a close knitted community where most people are acquainted with each other. Under no circumstances should pharmacists disclose detail of someone's condition. Instead, they should uphold their right to privacy. And also the pharmacist, he should respect the autonomy and dignity of each patient, right? You cannot force anyone to tell about their patient history, or they have their own autonomy, and even each and every patient has to be handled in a very dignified manner. You cannot show any kind of ill feeling towards anyone, so their autonomy has to be respected. And also, the pharmacist should act with honesty and integrity in professional relationship, because this pharmacy itself, it's a professional course. So you should maintain that code of ethics in your profession. You have to respect the patient autonomy, and you should be very confidential. So that is a great thing what you're doing to the patients. Next is about the computer skills. So where the world is moving towards the online pharmacies and e-pharmacy. So we all know that e-commerce and e-pharmacy, that's a very popular nowadays. And online medicines also moving very in a faster pace. So it is obviously that pharmacists should have knowledge of the same. So they are all well connected to the internet. So pharmacies today, since it has become a global village, and pharmacies today are connected to the internet. And computers are helpful for easy storage of customer data, inventory counts, and billings, and etc. And pharmacists need to be comfortable working with computers. So it is not only for pharmacists, each and everyone, as a even art student or science student or whoever go for a work, they should have this kind of a computer skills. So apart from your basic degree, it is an additional course what you have to take up in order to survive in this world, because we all know it is a very competitive world. And along with your hard skill, if you have a lot of soft skills, then only you will be put in a better place. So there, this e-pharmacy plays a very crucial role for equipping yourself with all kind of computer knowledge or computer skills. Next is the diplomacy. Right? At one time or another, every pharmacist will encounter a patient who is trying to get a restricted substance without a prescription, or an expired prescriptions, or too early. So this, I think, many of the pharmacists would have encountered during the COVID time, because there was a rule that without any prescription, that Dolo 650 and other medications should not be supplied to the patients. But at that time, many of them would have requested the pharmacist to give because they might be suffering from fever or any kind of other illness. So that is a kind of a very embarrassing situation for a pharmacist, and even to your relative also, you're not supposed to give, because everything is accountable. So there, this diplomacy comes into act. So you have to be very diplomatic in handling those type of persons, and especially those are with the addictive characteristics, and they can become extremely belligerent and intimidating. So belligerent means they'll be having a very aggressive or a fighting attitude. For example, some people with unless they have the sleeping tablet, they'll not be able to sleep properly, and it is not allowed to give the sleeping tablets to the patients without any prescription, that too current prescription. Some people, they give that older one, which is expired one, and they'll be asking for you to give the medicines. But you have to act in a very diplomatic manner, and you have to convince that unless otherwise you have the current prescription, it is very dangerous to give the medicines, because we all know that overdosage of sleeping tablet, it's a kind of a suicidal attempt. Right? So you have to be very, very diplomatic and careful and caring towards the patients, because they sometimes they behave in a very aggressive manner, and they will be having that fighting attitude because they want that medicine at that point of time. So they will go to any kind of an extent. And this intimidating, again, they make you to be frightened, and you become very nervous. So they'll be very terrified manner, they'll be asking you to give it. Even they'll shout at you, and all type of non-verbal communication or verbal communication might take place during that time if they don't get that kind of a tablet what they need, because they are addicted to that kind of tablets. So you have to be very diplomatic to handle those type of patients, and there comes your decision making skills. right? So you have to decide what to do at that point of time, what type of attitude you have to show towards that type of patient. So everything plays a very vital role when you deal with this time of extreme characters. So you have to be very careful about it. Then you have to be a very active listener, right? So you should be very polite in order to hear what the patients are saying, and you have to focus on the patient, because unless you listen to them carefully, you will not be able to diagnose what the right person is trying to say, or what he's trying to get. And you have to keep an eye contact and nod your head. So here the other soft skills like your body languages, your communication skills, verbal and non-verbal, everything comes into action. And as a pharmacist, you need to be very attentive to your patients. And to achieve this, you need to be a good listener, right? You should be a good listener, focused on your patients and ready to provide them with the necessary treatment to aid their conditions. And having a dismissive attitude, that is, you should not have a kind of a disregard to the patients. Having a dismissive attitude and not listening carefully to what your patients are saying will not only give you a bad rapport, but could also potentially be dangerous, as you lack the active listening, could mean missing some important clues that the patient would like to point out and in the prescription. So here this active listening plays a very crucial role. So you have to be listen carefully to understand what the patient is trying to say, because we cannot say that all the patients are literate. We you encounter with a lot of illiterate patients also, and they'll be having their prescription and they try to tell you what is their need. So for that, this active listening skill will help you. And also you have to interpret your understanding. So you have to confirm whether what they said and what you have understood is the same, right? Because here the multiculturalism takes place and multi-languages, multi-linguistic parameters are there. So we cannot say that all the patients are from the same background. So you will be encountering n number of patients with a different culture, different languages. So you have to interpret whether you have understood thoroughly, and you have to ask questions about what you did not understand, right? If something is not clear, so as a pharmacist and by experience you will know what the patient is trying to ask you. And in any point of time, if you are not clear, you should ask questions about what you did not understand. And you can use non-verbal expressions, right? So even this kind of an eye contact and nodding your head, your facial expression, the body language, everything is called as a non-verbal expression, so that you can convince the patient what the person is or the patient is trying to say. So this non-verbal communication also is very, very essential. Not only verbal communication, even interpersonal, intrapersonal, and this kind of a non-verbal communication is also is very important for a pharmacist, because at one point of time, if the patient is not able to understand what you're saying, even you can use a non-verbal expression or a communication to tell them what you're trying to say to them. Um, yeah, thank you. So these are the important skills what I thought of discussing for a pharmacist uh, is needed. So I've started with the accuracy and communication skills and interpersonal skills. I said that all other resource persons, they'll be concentrating on it. And patient counseling, I told you, and professional. So these are the takeaways from this webinar, and how this computer skills will supplement you with your knowledge. and how diplomatic and how polite you should act towards your patients, and how this active listening also will help you to get the right medication for the patients. So to conclude, I can say that these pharmacists have a fast-paced and highly technical job that can be very demanding, and there is absolutely no room for error. But it can be highly rewarding for people who possess the personality traits and abilities. So along with your hard skills, if you possess these type of soft skills, you have n number of chances to be placed in a well position. And in the present era, as we all know, the whole world has become a global village, and modern marvels have made it all possible to communicate from any corner to other at any given time. In such scenario, it is the utmost importance that one must master their communication skills and other soft skills, so that you can attract, you can inspire, and you can motivate the person whoever comes in your contact and get the desired results. And pharmacists need to master a variety of soft skills, and also you have to tackle tough situations, and also you have to be a problem solver. Sometimes you have to be a problem solver. I told you that at some point of time you should make a decision where these kind of aggressive people have contacted you to for any kind of a medicine. So at that point of time you will become a problem solver also, and you have to be honest, and you have to take initiatives, and apart from that you have to be down to earth and humble. And if you possess all these qualities, and if you respect others, and these soft skills will make you to get to go up and up in your life. So these are the main soft skills what a pharmacist should require. So thank you. So that's all, that's what I thought of sharing with you. And the reference is what I've taken from some of the web resources.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, now the session is open. If you have any questions, you are most welcome. You can ask the questions, or as well as you can type your questions in the chat box.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your valuable, motivating speech, which was very useful for us. And to be specific, the code of ethics for pharmacists, active listening for the pharmacist with body language, and patient counseling was very, very useful for us, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. And we are waiting for questions, ma'am. Any questions? Participants, any questions? You can type it in the chat box. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
ma'am. Thank you so much. It was very useful for us, ma'am.
Thank you. Once again, I thank all the students for patiently listening, and also the principal and head of the department for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all, and best wishes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. The session for the morning session ends now, and the afternoon session starts by 2 p.m. Please kindly join before 10 minutes.
Thank you,
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you all.